Hi everybody, Kirk here with Ink and Impulse, and I wanted to sit down tonight and relax and have fun with a bunch of inks. As you can see, I have a bunch of ink samples in the back, but when I look at them, some of the names, I can't really tell what they are, and sometimes when they look a certain way in the bottle and then you swatch them, they turn out something, a certain different color. And so what I'm going to do here is actually just pick some and start swatching them all in one place. And then once I figure out what the tone is, I can go ahead and incorporate it into the rest of my book. I'm also going to do a little bit of the chromatography. So if you see here's some chromatography that I've done with 2 different inks. And I have these strips. And they're just really interesting to kind of see the different properties in the ink. And this one was very interesting because the dot starts here, and I'll show you how to do this later, but the dot starts here and then it runs up the strip, and I think it could have gone further if I had a longer strip. But anyway, we're gonna do a couple of those strips for some of the more interesting inks, and I'll show you how to do that as well. But anyway, let's just go ahead and get into it. If you'd like to see the materials that I use, just check out the description box below and you'll have everything that you need to see. All right, so I only have room for 14 swatches today, so let's just pick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. These will go back in my bag. So I would love to show you how I do my chromatography. And this is just how I do it, and through trial and error, how I found the best results in terms of separation of colors to kind of see what's in there. And so I take one of my chromatography strips, and I just got these from Amazon. I don't need the lab grade chromatography strips, which can be pretty expensive. I think I got a bunch of these for about $8. And what I want to do is draw a line about 3/4 of an inch across. I want to pick out one of my inks, and I think I'm going to use this Sailor Ink Studio 970. So I'm using a pencil here because if I dip it in water, it doesn't run or smear. So Sailor Ink Studio, and that's going to be 970. What I'm going to do from here is find a way to get a drop of ink. Now, the most economical way is probably using a little dabber, but I'm just going to use my pen here, and I'm just going to dip it right at the edge. And what I want to do is place the dot solely on the line. I leave it to about that size because for my 3-inch strip, that's about enough. And then I cap my ink back up, put it back on the rack. And I don't know if you saw on my pencil, but I do have this piece of washi tape. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in the middle. Just get it lined up, doesn't matter. And you don't really want to wait for this ink to dry because I feel like it doesn't separate like it should. I'm definitely not a chemist or anything like that. I wish I was. I truly do. But I'm gonna put this little strip on my pencil like this. Now this is a little homegrown setup. You guys can like do way better than this. But I have a little vessel of water, and I'm telling you, there's just not much water in there at all. The trick to doing this is making sure that only the edge of the paper strip is submerged. And so it looks like we need just a little bit more water. So I got some clean water, and I'm just going to add little by little. There we go, until the edge of the paper is submerged. As you can see, it's already starting to go up. And from now, I'm just going to do a time lapse. So enjoy. All right, so it looks like it's done, and it's still very wet, but you can see that it looks like it's mostly a yellow with a grayish pigment mixed within. So we will let this dry and look at it later. Here are the 14 inks that we swatched today with their little dots on top. And we'll look at this. I just like how these look, especially after they've dried, which these are dry. And I like to put them in rainbow order as best as I can. But there's a couple standouts for me in here, so I'd be curious to see what your standouts are as we go through the dried swatches. First one is Robert Oster Sydney Lavender. This one actually surprised me. There's a really good amount of shading. There's a little bit of a different tone within. You see a little bit more of a warmer purple in there. The next one is so nice. This is the Atramentis Velvet Black Copper, and you know, I don't have any black inks. I do have a lot of gray inks, but I don't have any black inks. And I think this is the one that I might add to my collection because are we seeing the text on this? That's crazy. Next, we have Sailor Ink Studio 970. And you can see there's a little bit of a purple sheen. We have Diamine Dusted Truffle. This is one that I just feel like I have to get. It is so pretty. It's a mauve with a little bit of a warmer undertone. The shading is darker for sure. There's a couple tones in here, but it's all like sprinkled on top with that silver shimmer. Next we have Diamine Sepia. And this is a very straightforward, nice shader for a brownish orange. The next one is another standout, Robert Oster Rose Gilt Tint. And you can see this is a lavendery pink color with a silver sheen. The next one here is Robert Oster Honeybee. I love this one so much, but I am just a fan of this color family. So really anything within this color family I love. Next one is Jacques Herbin Fuchsia de Magellan. So we have a nice bright pink with a little bit of a green sheen and a gold shimmer. The next one is Sailor Ink Studio 670. And if you look over here, it's a 970. It's almost the same, but it's a little more yellow and a little more bright. There is still a little bit of a purple sheen to it, as you can see around the edges. Next one is Wearingeul I Am a Cat. This is a nice bluish gray with a gold shimmer. The next one is Diamine Terracotta. I love this one. This one is a dark, rich, reddish orange with a little bit of a grayish green sheen. The next one is Diamine Vintage Copper. This is a very popular one, but this is the first time I've seen it in person. And this one is almost the same as Terracotta, but it has a beautiful gold sheen or shimmer on top. Next one is Ferris Wheel Press Wonderland in Coral. As you can see, there's a lot of shimmer on that text. And it is a true coral salmon color with a silver shimmer. And then lastly, a super shimmer Diamine Glacier. And this is a bright blue, a shader with a silver shimmer. I did want to show you some of the different types of chromatography. So I put a dot of Fuchsia de Magellan on this chromatography strip. And as you can see, it's mostly fuchsia with a little bit of a red or a rust color within. Not much to say here. Now this one is a little different. So this is a dot of this ink right here, Robert Oster Sydney Lavender. And as you can see, here are the tones within. And I think it's just so interesting to kind of see what our inks are made out of. So this is that one. Now I think this one will surprise you a lot, but Diamine Dusted Truffle, which is like this beautiful brown with a shimmer on it. And here's the chromatography. Okay, so as you can see, our shimmer particles are like down towards the bottom, but it's made up of all of these different colors. And so I really like to see these little strips. I keep them, I put them in my journal. I think they're really, really pretty. All right, and then lastly, Sailor Ink Studio. Here's the chromatography strip. And I don't know where this like bright neon green little dot at the bottom came from, but we can ignore him for now. But these are the colors within this ink. And again, like I said before, it looks like a yellow with a little bit of red at the top and then mixed with a gray kind of graphite tone. So again, these are just super cool. It's a little extra step, but if you love ink, then I would suggest you do it because you might be surprised with what you see. So here is a look at the ghosting and bleed through. I don't really count bleed through on swatches too much just because I put so much ink on there, but really only the true bleed through that I see is the Sailor Ink Studio 970. And I really globbed it on there, so it doesn't look like if I just write it with a fountain pen that's already like pretty normed out that I will have any trouble. But here is what it looks like. All right, so here are the 14 ink samples that I have swatched today. I hope you really loved this video. I had a really good time during Fountain Pen Day. Let me know down in the comments what you bought during Fountain Pen Day, and I would love to see you there. I hope you're staying safe and well, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.